really should be achievable by characters or not. But I mean, I'm pointing it out. You have no chance whatsoever if you have this rule in place.
Right.
So I'm personally not in favor of it. Like you were saying before, I think it's one of those things that looks good on paper.
Mm.
So, well, anyway, moving ahead, Josh also made another post where he said, he'd thrown out a question, and he said, "What do you think would have happened if Yuzum Vong had invaded during the Dark Times? What about during the Clone Wars?" Now, the community played around with this idea for a while before deciding that Palpatine and Yoda had a change of opinion about the Force and had broken away from their past allegiances to form a new Force philosophy, and where they're going to be teaching this is on the planet Dagobah. And what's unique about this is a teaching philosophy that allows them, a philosophy and use of the Force that allows them to actually affect the Yuzum Vong. And on top of this, Anakin, now more machine than man, leads the Jedi Council, his wife and children, at his side. So I thought for sort of an alternate time or alternate universe kind of thing, it wasn't a bad idea.
I agree.
Yep, keep the ideas coming, Josh. We love you, baby.
He also listed some GM ideas for starting a group. Number one being the first session should be dedicated to character creation, allowing the players to fully integrate character relationships, or two, a list of pre-generated characters be made available.
Yep, I agree. And I tell you what, the problem with GM advice is that what works in a face-to-face game does not always translate over and work into a VTT. For example, I believe that Josh had suggested, you should take your first session and spend that on character creation so that all the characters kind of mesh. Everybody can kind of hash out how their characters interact, how they know each other. And you know what? In a face-to-face game, you betcha. That's awesome. And you can get that pounded out pretty quickly. Unfortunately, in a VTT game, people want to get together and they want to play. I don't know why it is, but online, VTT people tend to have a very short attention span. Meaning, if they're not out there rolling dice and getting into the game, if you spend the first session, 90+% of it on doing nothing but character creation, there's a pretty good chance they're not showing up for the second adventure or for the second get-together. And that is just the nature of the beast. I do believe that you probably should take some time and do that, depending upon the kind of game you're running. I, myself, when I'm running Star Wars, want characters that have some backstory and some overlap. Now, he also suggested about the pre-gens. I always have pre-gens available, whether it is face-to-face or VTT. But again, great ideas from Josh, and of course, definitely want to see more of those.
Mm-hmm.
Adrian BK was curious if there was a West End book of templates. Sorry, Adrian, there is not. There's not an official book, all right, but there is a fan-made PDF floating around out there called the Template Collection Volume 1. Now, keep in mind, this is not complete, as it does not include items from the Star Wars Adventure Journal. Now, it is my understanding that as another project in the works, following Ty Kane's optional rules book, that we might be moving on and working on that. And that will actually be broken up into two separate books. The first book will be, of course, as complete a compilation of all official templates we can get. The second book will be a compilation of whatever templates we can find that are out there that are not official, as well as the ones that people will post or make available. Ty has offered to go ahead and do this. I do believe in the email that I got from him, he had suggested that we could actually do that annually or maybe quarterly or something like that, depending upon the volume of stuff we have put in. So, that is the long-winded answer of telling you no, but yes.
No, yes.
Yeah, no, yes. It's almost like talking with my 11-year-old daughter. Yes, Daddy, but no.
Bob McDowell out of G Plus asked, "What's your favorite setting era slant for your Star Wars campaigns?" The results came back with 8 people preferring the Rebellion era, 1 preferring the New Republic, 1 for the Knights of the Old Republic, 2 for Tales of the Jedi, and then lastly, 1 person chose the Legacy era.
That was me. That was me. I chose Legacy. I'm the rebel. You know, I was really kind of surprised by this, actually, when I was looking at it. And I think that I have an answer for it. Well, I mean, because it's resoundingly people picked Rebellion era. And I'm thinking because when the game originally came out, the prequels hadn't come out. In fact, West End Games had gone belly up before the prequels came out. So I'm thinking that probably the majority of these players probably are people that are playing the game back in the late 80s, early 90s, which would kind of date them sort of being in the first 3 movies. And because that's what they have, that's their framework for the Star Wars universe, as well as, just the additional stuff that came out at the time. I think they just have a general or a natural proclivity to gravitate towards Rebellion era. I know. We're doing the hyper-analytical thing today. Anyway, as a side note, guys, I like Rebellion era. In fact, when I'm game mastering, my sweet spot is A New Hope plus about 6 months. That's my era. What about you, Daniel?
I do the Rebellion because I know that era, but I want to exchange out to other eras as well. So I really don't have a quote-unquote favorite.
Sure. I mean, I guess I take that back. I think it's I like all Star Wars, but I guess like you were saying, I mean, it's sort of the era that I know the best. There is a ton of information there for Rise of the Empire era, leading right up into Rebellion. There's quite a bit for the New Republic stuff. And I tell you, the one that I find really exciting is Legacy era, which takes place like 100+ years after A New Hope, and just all kinds of excellent things, cool ideas. The Imperial Knights is a great idea. Just a lot of different stuff, and not only that, it's a wide open era because all of the original heroes are not even a part of it. Their descendants are.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Give Dark Horse a look, man. I mean, I think the second volume of Star Wars Legacy has started. I'm not even sure how many issues. I think it's like maybe 8, something along those lines. And actually, it has. I can't remember the character's name. It's a solo grandkid or great grandkid or something like that, and she's kind of cool. So just FYI.
Okay.
Hey, I tell you what, another thing I saw this week, Daniel, was people were talking about critical hits in Star Wars. And this seems to be a subject that comes up a lot. There were 2 viable suggestions, I think. One of them I posted, where I had suggested that if a skill roll is made by 10 or more, a critical success has been achieved. Now, unlike what other people are saying, well, give additional bonus for this, blah, 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 for that, I suggested that the player describes the success of what happens with the GM being the final say on that. And to give you kind of an example of that, the player could say something like, well, I hit him hard. All right, plus 1d damage. Or I shoot him in the leg. All right, GM says that the enemy guy falls down. He's now at -2 movement. Blaster bolt hits him and bounces off, hitting the door control panel, closing it. That's a cool narrative. Or I hit him in the head and his HUD shorts out. Just basically what it's allowing the characters to do is it allows for a more organic, interactive narrative to take place between the characters and the GM, where they actually feel like they're actually adding something to the story. I kind of like the idea. Now, Chris C., because he's been a madman this week, just posting some really good stuff right up there with Josh, had suggested using a table based on the classic formula already used in the rules for damage to the characters and vehicles. For example, if you succeed from 0 to 3, it's a slight success. 4 to 8, it's a solid success. 9 to 12, a good success. 13 through 15, a very good success. And finally, 16 plus is a heroic success. Now, the downside, he hasn't explained what any of that means. He said he would go ahead and post exactly what those mean at a later time, but what it is he's at least put in place the already used formula for success and applied it to damage. I think that system is a bit on the clunky side. I like mine, not just because it's mine, I just think it's a more elegant answer to several things. And on top of it, the system that I suggest is one that doesn't keep referring to the same set of circumstances or outcomes that could happen. And the system that I suggest, or the mechanics I suggest, can be applied to all types of skill rolls, not just combat.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So again, I'm not trying to toot my own horn. I just think that, from a logistic end of it, one is a little more usable, friendly than the other. But that doesn't mean don't do it, Chris. Please do it. Do it. Post it. I want to see it.
Yeah, a play test would be awesome.
I'll help you. I'll tell you how great it is or how much it sucks.
Doug Red 4 from the Ranker Pit posts, occasionally if characters exceed the difficulty number by 5, add plus 1d to the damage roll, and characters that exceed the roll by 10 add plus 2d to the damage pool, capping the bonus at plus 2d. My rationale is that a really solid hit is likely to do more damage than a regular hit. Some additional suggestions from Rules Engagement, page 58 are: 1. To add points rolled over target number to the damage roll. 2. Add plus 1 point to damage roll for every 5 rolled over the target number to hit. And finally, 3. Dice pool before rolling to hit. Dice can be subtracted from the hit roll and added to the damage roll.
I kind of like that idea, the last one. And I mean, those were all presented in Rules of Engagement. So, I mean, I don't know. It kind of depends on the game that you want to have. I mean, to me, it seems like the first option. Well, actually, first of all, let's start with Doug Reds. I like it. I don't mind it. But quite honestly, it seems to me that there's going to be a lot of occasions in which you're going to be adding a plus 1 or a plus 2d to the damage roll.
Right.
Succeeding by 5 or more is not really all that uncommon. And especially, not only that, but it's also one of those things where if people go off and spend character points to improve their hit, then they're automatically improving their damage roll as well. I don't know how I feel about it. But again, like you said, it does cap out at 2D. It's not a huge thing, but I think that it really needs to be kind of bumped up to maybe plus 10 or plus 15, plus 20. Personal opinion. Daniel, jump in anytime you feel comfortable, baby.
I really don't have anything else to add there, Don. I like how the Rules of Engagement throws out the option there, but to me, personally, I think I'm going to stick with the regular rules.
Right. I don't believe that there's actually any rules that allow for critical hits or successes in the basic rules. I guess it depends on the kind of game you want to run. I mean, Rules of Engagement does give you those 3 options. I think for a high-powered, like a Special Forces game, the whole idea of adding the points that you make over the target number to the damage roll is a good one. I don't know. The suggestion that Doug read seems to be sort of a nice middle ground between the second and third option. But I don't know. Playtest.
I like that word.
I like playtest.
Well, today we actually have a Jedi Library submission, and we're going to be talking about James Spahn's The Dark Times sourcebook.
Mm-hmm. I actually got a chance to read the updated version, so kudos for improving your grammar, sir, and taking care of the spelling issues. I think you were a little involved in that, were you not, Daniel?
I tried to be. After seeing what he released first,